welcome to Hobby Late Night, the fastest growing hobby late night talk show in the world. I'm your host, Pat Nicholson, and tonight I am joined by Craig, aka NYC Sports Card, New York City Sports Cards. Craig, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to be joined by a fellow New York City collector, especially. Your memes are awesome. You're doing good stuff. So I'm excited to get to know you, chop it up, and share a lot of card stories, I'm sure.
Yeah. Background for the listeners: Rob, the first guest on Hobby Late Night, your friends, acquaintances, he spoke highly of you. Told me you're the man, and then you reached out too about being on the show. So I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Another New Yorker. Let's just talk. We don't even really have a full script for this. We're just guys talking cards.
I knew we would hit it off, so I reached out. Like I said, we're from the same area. Rob's a good dude. Me and Rob started talking on Instagram probably a little over a year ago, and then a friendship was formed from it. And we chop it up, talk cards, and a lot of good has come out of it.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the hobby. So to take it back, I guess first off, what do you consider yourself in the hobby? Like, what's the role? Is it mainly collector? Is it mainly dealer? Is it mainly investor? A little bit of everything? An educator? I know it's like a multi-hyphen here.
I guess I do like the educator take on it because I am a high school math teacher, soccer coach. So there is an educator just kind of part of me that I like to, give out information and knowledge. And there's a ton of other educators in the hobby as well who I'm in touch with. But I like just chopping it up with people in the hobby in various different forms and, sharing my collection, hearing about others, the whole collector, flipper, investor thing we can get into. I'm some sort of hybrid of all of them, but it started as a collector. And at the end of the day, it's what I do most. And in looking through my cards, I like being able to tell a story about each of them. I've been collecting I'm 29 now, so as long as I can remember, over 20 years. And the way I see it is I'll be collecting for at least another 20 more. So as I'm picking up these cards, you got to do some flipping along the way. But I do think to myself, in 20 years, what am I going to want my collection to look like?
Mm-hmm.
If I was collecting differently back then, easy example, you're picking up like Jordan, LeBron autos back in the day. Think about how much those have appreciated. So there is a financial side to it. And as a math teacher, I can't help but think about that as well. So, I want my cards to both, mean something to me, whether there's a story behind the card or it's a player or team I really like, but also, see it as an asset that could hopefully continues to go up. So, I don't see why it can't be a mix of both.
Yeah, exactly. Just if you're intelligent on the subject, or if you're just even around the hobby, you understand like, oh, there's parts of this that could be beneficial financially, but then there's parts of this that is just me being a collector and loving this stuff. So why not have one benefit the other and just make it great? So like when you started, what first got you in? What was that first? Who were you chasing? Or do you remember any of those early packs that you ripped, cards you were after?
So I would say the earliest days of collecting I can remember, I was 6, 7, 8 years old. My dad's dad, my grandpa, grew up in Forest Hills. Are you familiar with the area?
Yeah.
Like Eddie's Sweet Shop?
No.
Pretty well known.
Okay.
So right down the street is a store called Royal Collectibles, and it's actually still around to this day. So for a hobby shop to be open for over 20 years, it's pretty incredible. We used to go there. My grandpa, he would call cards tickets. He would just say, "We're going to go get some tickets." So we'd pull up to the shop. We're probably in between the years of 97 and 2002, I'm thinking. A lot of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I did not refer to them as sports cards then. It was referred to as baseball cards.
Yep.
I think a lot of people agree with that. But
yeah,
it was mostly baseball. It was just opening packs. I had my favorite teams, but whatever I would get from the packs is what I'd collect. It was a lot different back then. I definitely wasn't, as a 9, 10-year-old, thinking about picking up singles. And I just kept collecting. I also remember, my sister was an actress. She was on Broadway. So some weekends we would come into the city and there'd be street vendors on the side of the street, just on like 7th Avenue or something. That's another place where I'd get packs. Yeah. Midtown Comics was another store in the city that I would, my parents would take me to. And it was just all about packs, wasn't singles. Target is another big part of my childhood. Most Friday nights we go to Target to get packs. And I grew up on Long Island, so the shops around there, the shows that are still around today, I would go to. And, my memories are me and my dad going to the show. We were just flying right over the singles. We wouldn't even look. We'd go right to the wax,
Yep.
buy a box or two, take it home and rip. And that was fun for me and my dad. It was an amazing time. So I was able to build my collection just through packs that I'd opened. So we're not opening high-end stuff, but I still have some stuff that I'll show later that were me, ripping packs at 15, 16 years old. And I still have them today.
Mhm.
So I think there's something special about that, the memories that are tied to collecting. Yeah, as we get older,
Oh, yeah.
as we get older, naturally you're going to forget things a little more, but a lot of cards behind me, I could tie to an exact memory and like picture it in my head. So it's pretty cool, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have like the PC box that's only valuable to me. That has like no monetary value really outside of these walls. Cause it's like, oh, a Jordan card I pulled, that's not even like rare. It's just a, normal base. But to me, it was a Jordan card and that was sick. And I held on to it and the corners are all fucked, but I still have it and remember pulling it in the backseat of my mom's car. And yeah, just all those memories. And I feel like I was the same way. I did not think about singles at all. It was purely ripping packs, not knowing what you're going to get. That is where the joy came out of. Wish I would have thought about singles, like if in 2020 hindsight, but for the most part, yeah, it just was, whatever's going to come out of that wax.
Yeah, and I've no regrets about it. The wax was so fun. Singles, we'll make up for it. That's how I kind of operate now. But you say Jordan, here's a Jordan card that I pulled in 2003. This was a Hanukkah gift box, 0304 SP Game Used LeBron rookie year. I thought this was cool, and I kept it to this day. I remember being in a screw down case before magnetics. Just a cool looking MJ insert to $9.99. Like you said, maybe worth $5-10, but knowing that I pulled this myself and I remember where I was is worth way more than anything I can get for it right now.
So then as you're collecting, did you ever stop and like return to the hobby during COVID like a lot of people, or did you kind of collect all the way through middle school, high school, and beyond?
I definitely collected all the way through. You slow down a little bit in college, but there was a Walmart up the street from where I went, Geneseo. And I actually pulled a Giannis Prism rookie, the green variation. It's like a $5,000-$10,000 card now. And I can go back and check the receipts. I sold that on the blowout card forums for $10. But that was a card I pulled. I was just at Walmart, getting groceries for school. And I was probably one of the few people in that small town of upstate New York buying wax from Walmart. But, I could take whatever I can get. And then after college, moved right to the city, and I would hit up some of the shops. There was Chameleon Comics down by Wall Street, and there was this little show on. They would have some Saturday mornings. So, same thing though. I remember walking into a show one Saturday morning. I peeked around. I didn't see any wax. It was just singles, and I walked out. I didn't even walk in. That was probably 2014, 15. Think about how much has changed, huh?
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember like when I stopped, like kind of got out of the hobby was probably like 2005-ish. And remember though, being able to walk into a Walmart or Target and just the boxes and pulling packs, single packs out of whatever you wanted. And when I got back into it, a couple years ago, that's all I wanted. And it was devastating to find out that is an experience that is no longer, of just being able to walk around on a shelf, $4 pack here, $5 pack here. Okay, I'll get one $10 pack. Times have changed.
Well, I'd go to a Target and get 30 packs. It would cost less than $100.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, the price of entertainment alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing those like stickers on old sealed wax is always crazy. Like I remember I ripped a box of Bowman 2000, like as a kid, and I still have all the ones I pulled. Did not get a Brady, but like the sticker on that was like 1995 on sale for probably $9.99 at the time.
I remember discounted blasters.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wait, so what were you collecting growing up then?
It was like the same thing of just ripping wax, having cards. I love memorabilia and I love the Bears. So it was basically like ripping football, hoping to get a Bears player, even though the Bears have never, like there are no players really worth collecting, but for me there were. And then also autographs. I was big into like going to games and trying to, get players to sign stuff or sending the stamped envelopes to the addresses in the back of Beckett to try and get, players to sign. So I have a few cards that, like Sean Alexander was on my fantasy team in 2002 and signed an autograph and sent it back. And it's one of my favorite cards ever. Hines Ward, same thing. So a little bit of everything. I think Bears are the only team I was truly loyal to. Outside that, just like whatever was cool.
So you were collecting your favorite like teams and players. You said you like the in-person autographs. Do you remember like the early days of game use cards? Jerseys, bats.
So that is what I thought like the future was. When those came out, I was obsessed with the game use.
Yes. Bro, let me show you the first I ever pulled.
Yes, let's see it.
Are you a Yankees fan by any chance?
I'm a Cubs fan, but like I want the Yankees I want them to see them win a World Series while I'm here. Because I was born in Chicago, grew up in Chicago.
Gotcha.
And Indiana. So I've only been in New York for 7 years.
Got it. Well, I remember I was 8 years old, 2000 Upper Deck Baseball Series 2. I didn't even know what game use cards were. I saw this thick card in the back, and I actually started to peel it apart because I had never seen it before.
Yep.
I was 7 or 8 years old. It was the first game use card I ever pulled. Derek Jeter game use ball. Still have it.
Damn. That's sick.
This thing is over 20 years old. Pulled it myself. Remember exactly where it was. The store still around. I was like a local stationery store.
The game used, like it did get oversaturated, but there was an era where they were getting so unique and clever with what they were considering game use. Like, I'm so mad I sold this. I sold it when I got back in the hobby. I didn't know what I was doing because it has the memory. But it was a Curtis Martin card that I pulled, a jersey card, but then it also had game used goalpost from the RCA Dome on a certain date when Martin scored 2 touchdowns and like a football patch. It was like one of those, but like a goalpost. I just wish I still had it. It was like the bright blue. But yeah, that early game used stuff.
You got to try to get that card back.
I know.
It's the same box as that LeBron. I pulled this Larry Bird autographed jersey. Same time. So I was like 11 or 12, and I was selling on eBay at that time. And I vividly remember selling it for $133. And for some reason, that card I always regretted selling. I just thought it was super cool. It was Larry Bird. So about like 6 months ago, one popped up on eBay. I reached out to the guy. We made a deal off Instagram. But Larry Bird autographed jersey, I had to get it back.
Damn.
I just had to get it back.
You had to.
For some reason, this one stuck with me, and I guess in theory, this could have been the one that I pulled. 1 out of 100 chance.
I like that. I like thinking that. These I just picked up recently because I love Jay Cutler as the best Bears quarterback statistically in history. But threads, big arm JC, and strong arm. I just was dying at the fact that they cut out the word strong arm and big arm. It's like, how many other arm variations are there out there of Jay Cutler game used cards?
That triple threads?
Yeah, triple threads. And I love this one. It's jersey numbered, but then it also just says, this card contains authentic memorabilia of Jay Cutler. Like they hadn't figured out the wording yet of not from any specific thing. It's Jay Cutler's memorabilia.
Triple threads was a fun rip. I remember every once in a while doing like triple threads baseball. Products were just different then.
Yeah.
Like the mid 2000s, Fleer, Tops, Upper Deck. There were so many random cool products, and they were all within like a reasonable price point.
Right.
You think how much changed today? I mean, I don't even touch wax today.
Yeah. Well, and they were competing with one another, so it was in their best interest to come up with innovative things or switch things around where I feel is and make exciting inserts and chase cards and everything else that makes a rip fun. Whereas now it's felt like you don't really care about inserts unless it's gold or numbered because they're all just kind of the same. It's like, what's the difference between emergent and new editions and hot shots? And, they're all just kind of like the same little graphic design difference, but not like the old die cut stuff. Like
I got an insert right here from 0304 Fleer Genuine Basketball. And I've sold off so many like my refractors and inserts and stuff over the years. For some reason, this one has just stuck around. Iverson and Jason Kidd, just like a cool card.
That is so sick.
Again, not worth much, but somehow it's stayed in my collection for 20 years.
That's crazy because
let me see that.
That's Kidd and Iverson game used.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Funny.
And this is one, again, it's not like a crazy valuable card, but AI was just my favorite growing up. AI was the tightest player.
That's just a great duo to have on a card.
Yeah. And those nets, like Those Nets teams, Kenyon Martin, Kerry Kittles,
Keith Van Horn.
Keith Van Horn with the Sox hitting trays.
Todd McCullough is the big man.
Todd McCullough. I remember I was in Indiana at the time, and the Pacers and Nets had some battles in the first round.
Oh man, I can imagine those Pacers teams were tough then.
Yeah, and sidebar, the first round should be back to 5 games. Those 5-game series.
I like that. I like that idea.
Made upsets a little easier too.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna flip the script on you because you had asked me the question about the state of the hobby, but you have to be so tuned in order to create relatable and understandable memes. That's pretty fair to say.
Yeah.
You gotta have like your pulse on everything, so you know what's going on. You see the good, the bad. Just like, what do you see as an outsider looking at? Not an outsider looking at, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, still, I feel like getting my bearings straight with it all. And there are some days where I'm like, ooh, I really want to make a meme about a current event or current state. But then at the end of the day, I just like making the stuff about getting outbid at the last second, or wishing you had bid $5 more, or your watch list being full, or just things that it's like, I'm going through this. Everyone's probably going through this too. Just like, what are the observations I'm dealing with as I navigate the hobby versus instead of trying to like, I don't know. There are trying to keep up with the current events of it all and the pace at which stuff's changed. I've already been doing that in my day-to-day job of working in content and media for the last 8 years. That is exhausting, but the hobby's the most fun thing. Like when I finish work at night, I'm excited I'm never not looking at cards. I'm never not checking the Pac Nicholson account. Like this is a question I'm just curious. What percent of like
90-10?
Yep.
I know what you're going to ask. Personal account versus card account.
Or just like time spent on cards a day.
Oof. The way I'm able to justify it, because my job, I'm a teacher, right? So I got my school day, and then after school, I coach. I got a couple teams that I coach, and I do my side stuff. And I spend a lot of time looking at cards. But I do everything that I need to do at the highest level possible outside of it.
Yep.
So I would never let it impact my regular life at all.
Right.
So I'm pretty conscious of when I'm like doing too much, taking a step back.
Yeah. And I like that you were able to, merge them in a way too, where I'm curious about the card club. I know you started.
We haven't even gotten into that yet. So Card Club is an after-school club at the school that I teach at that I started. And the school is called the Business of Sports School, public high school. It's in Midtown. So my principal is pretty open to new ideas, especially pertaining to sports. So Card Club started when I had a few cards on my desk and some kids would come around and look at it. And then I'm like, well, if I had more, we could turn this into something. So I started reaching out to the Instagram community, just, stories. Rob was a huge help in like sharing and getting the word out. People just started donating cards and it grew. And, the hobby's a lot to learn. There's so many things to learn. Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
So I'm able to use my skill set as an educator to make it accessible and, break it down and make it hands-on to the point where they learn just like a little bit about cards each and every day. And before you know it, by the end of the year, I got kids going to shows and like making deals, starting from nothing. I had really my two best students who I had pretty good attendance, I would say at most 20, different 30 students, but we get like 10 to 15 on an average day. But I had two that really committed to it starting in January. And there was a show, a Laza show in New York City in May. They both went with inventory of cards they had accumulated from free donations, kind of learn what they were doing, values and stuff. And they each came out of that day making 10 plus deals, a couple $100 cash. So I was like pretty proud of that, to know that, you could learn something if you dedicate your time to it. At the end of the day, it is fun though. For them to make money is cool, but above all, it created a sense of community, which students really needed after 2 years of being home for COVID and not going to school. The same way friends will get together to have a beer. I kind of saw it as we're kind of just hanging out, having conversation, talking about life, make sure they're doing well in school over cards. sorting through the donations, sorting through the boxes, and some of the donations were really cool, pretty diverse, game used, autographed, graded. So it gave me a chance to teach a lot, and I learned a lot myself along the way. I mean, I had just as much fun as the students did.
Yeah, and the hobby's at the point now where it is a true industry. And if you're a young person and you're like thinking about, what industry do I want to work in when I grow up? Is it sports? Is it medicine? Is it law? It legitimately could be the hobby. And there's more of just than, flipping or whatever. You can be content creator. You could be writing about it for blog. There's so many things now that the hobby have created where the more education, the better at a younger age, or the more exposure, the better, because you're going to be able to if someone's that passionate about cards, you can, from this point on, figure out, all right, I'm going to work at Collectors one day. And there's a roadmap there.
Yeah. And even if they don't work in cards, the skills you take away from it.
Yes.
The analytics, the numbers, I put up charts, Card Ladder has been a big help, just, using their data to make sense of trends. They also donated some wax, so that was cool for us to open. That was so much fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm going to continue with Card Club next year. We set the bar very high this year, so I'm going to have this summer to kind of re-strategize and figure out, because most of them were seniors and graduated. So I got a few coming back, but I want to keep it going. I don't want to do the donation thing over again. Just That was a lot on people, but I'll find a way to still make it fun, accessible, and just make them have fun with it.
Yeah. Moving then through your collecting history to present day, what are you doing now? What's the current? What are the recent pickups?
So I would say I collected everything over the years, and I've watched baseball and football less and less over the years. I'll always be a Mets fan, but just as far as what I consume, the content games, it's basketball and it's soccer. Yep. So I coach soccer. I play soccer. I've played my whole life. I ref now as of a couple of weeks ago. And it's almost like the missing piece was collecting cards.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense, because my favorite teams to root for are the Knicks, which, if you're a Knicks fan, this card is dope.
Damn, Bernard.
06, 07 SP game used, dual patch auto, Walt, Frazier, Bernard King. Shout out Santiago Sports for the hookup on this.
That's sick.
So I love the Knicks, and I love the U.S. men's national team, who is, our country's soccer team. Didn't qualify for the last World Cup. They qualified for this one in November. I'm very excited about the group that they have, because they're best players. They're all playing in the top European leagues, and they're all between the ages of 19 and 24. The World Cup's in the USA in 4 years. That whole group of players will be hitting their prime at the same time.
Yep.
I'm very confident. So it's so much fun. When we were talking about earlier, having cards that not only mean something, but also have a financial value. When I'm collecting these players, it's like, I believe in the team. I enjoy watching them. I'm around the sport. And I truly do see the future success. So in my opinion, in my head, I'm collecting these assets that will appreciate.
Yep.
And I'm a firm believer in it. And
well, yeah, I'm a Tottenham fan. I watch EPL. I'll be honest, when they're good. They had a second run. Oh,
so there's a Weston McKinney.
That's sick.
Are you a big soccer fan?
I'd say average. So I was following Tottenham very hard from 2010 till 2 years ago. I haven't picked up since COVID, really.
Do you know McKinney?
No.
Okay, interesting. I think he's someone that people are going to be very attracted to. The way he plays, his personality, and World Cup will kind of be the stage to show everyone.
Yeah.
I like this rookie set. This is from 2018-19 Donruss. Soccer could get a little confusing with rookies, because a lot of the Topps Chrome true rookies, for example, don't have the rookie card logo. This is the rated rookie logo that we're all pretty familiar with. Yep. Donruss, and a lot of rookies are in club uniforms. He's in the USA uniform. So to me, this card's awesome. Yep. This is the canvas version, so it's got that type finish to it.
Yeah.
Out of 25 in the PSA 10. So I love this card.
That's sick. What club is he on?
My favorite player. What's up?
What club is he on?
He plays for Juventus.
Okay, sick.
Italian for like he was Ronaldo's teammate for a year.
Yeah.
But along the lines with soccer pickups, listen, ultimately my goal as a collector is I want to acquire cards that I don't want to flip. I like the hat, by the way. Shout out Bleecker. They were a huge contributor to Card Club this year.
Yeah, I was gonna show. Or what'd you got?
So this is
That's a classic.
Ronaldo, Messi, and it's the silver version.
That's sick.
Top 56, and I set up at the New York City show. I did pretty well for myself. I'm like, I want to treat myself to a card, and this I want to try to pick something up that I want to hold on to for the next years, as I alluded to earlier. These are the GOATs of our generation, maybe of all time. It's the first Prism set. It looks so good on the card together. Like, this is the perfect card to me. PSA 10's a pop 2.
Damn.
My connection to Messi is he was growth hormone deficient as a child. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So, as was I. So, at a younger age, he had to, like, inject himself with hormones, HGH basically, which I did too. So, I appreciate that side of him to, see where he is now.
That's
He's
amazing.
kind of like a good role model for young kids that you don't have to be the biggest, fastest, strongest to be a world-class player. So Messi's my guy. On the card together, this one's just,
That's sick.
This was a recent pickup. Even if I could flip it for a good amount, I don't even know if I'd want to.
Yeah. That's one you're fine holding forever. It's like, whatever.
For sure.
I started buying last year a lot of Vinny. Just watching him play. I like his style. That's the red out of 50.
Nice. Same year, right?
Yeah. That same year. So it was like,
the set. It's great.
I feel like Phil Foden's in that set too.
Great set, yeah.
And but yeah, just knowing with the World Cup, I think, I don't know. He's been exciting to watch. I'm like, all right, I'll prospect a little bit here in soccer.
The Champions League winner.
Yeah.
So I do love soccer. Basketball, Giannis is my guy. I really like any early on-card autographs of his.
Yep, the old signature.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Again, someone who I think in 20 years from now we'll still be talking about.
Oh, yeah. He's
the one championship definitely helps, but when we think Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, we got to put Curry in that conversation. Giannis is on path to be in that conversation. Give him another couple rings over the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah. And he's 27?
Yeah.
And he's the way that LeBron's showing how a modern super freak athlete, the longevity there, I could see Giannis having similar, like he's got at least 10 more good years, I'd think.
Yeah. Should be fun to watch.
Now, do you have a favorite basketball team?
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan.
Knicks.
Oh, for life. I would love nothing more than to see a championship for the Knicks. Collecting wise, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as into the modern day product. But like, I don't have much of any of the guys on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I like collecting the old school stuff.
Yeah.
Walt Frazier, Willis Reed. I got some cool pieces. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. They seem to be making some moves. If they were good again in New York, City would be buzzing.
I had never been to a game at the Garden, and it's a bucket list thing. And I had never seen LeBron play live, another bucket list thing. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm buying tickets to Lakers at MSG. It's going to be rocking. And that was the game he got suspended for the Isaiah Stewart fight.
I'm so sorry.
So like
Isaiah Stewart of all people, huh?
Yeah, and it's the only game LeBron has never has been suspended for. So I'm like, all right, I got to go to that game, but
I guess half the bucket list.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
The Garden was popping, and they beat.
I have early memories as 8, 9, 10-year-old going to the Garden. So
That's
it's pretty awesome. I could hop on a train and be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's
love New York.
Love it.
Yeah.
Take the M right up to Penn.
Yeah, there you go. I want to show one more. This is an Ichiro card. We all know Ichiro.
Is that?
Have you seen this one?
I think I've seen your post about it.
Yeah, so Ichiro played base. He was a rookie in 2001, but he actually played in the U.S. before that in '93 for the Hilo All-Stars. So they made the Hawaiian League set from '93. I was on my honeymoon in Hawaii in Hilo, and we kind of just walked into a shop, and this guy had some really cool Manny Pacquiao, Ichiro memorabilia. I was in there for 45 minutes. Shout out to my wife for hanging around. And picked this up raw, actually. So this was last summer. Finally, in 2001, they made a reprint set of it. So this is a reprint. A few months back, I just got around to grading it, and it's a True Gem Plus.
Wow.
Sitting in a store in Hilo, Hawaii for probably 20 years.
That's awesome.
So the guy who owned the store, Uncle Larry, kept this thing in such good condition. Look at those subgrades. All 9 5s and a 10.
That's unreal. I think you did like a long post about this on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
with like that story and picture. I remember reading that, and I was getting me hyped. I was like, that's so tight.
I'll never, ever get rid of this card.
No.
And that's why when you had asked me, and I thought about this, kind of the state of the hobby and investors and flippers, and there's kind of like a lot of negative connotation towards flippers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we know, like, we don't have to name names, but certain content creators, and they're making good money, I'm sure, and it's awesome. But when you're like all about it, and it's all the flip, and it's all the money, and it's on to the next one, buying at 60%, let me flip it, like the element of the storytelling, because it's just gone.
Yeah.
And again, everyone can operate their own way, but isn't that kind of the fundamentals that cars were built on? Just collecting, having fun, telling stories. So it's not for me personally, the constant, buy, sell, trade. When I go to shows, I like to do it. Everyone operates their own way.
Yeah.
Concept living is not for me. I think I don't know if that's how I would want people entering the hobby, their first impression to be.
Right.
And then you're going into the hobby for the first time thinking it's just about, oh, this is cool for the money. And then what happens when it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
I think kind of my goal with Card Club was to introduce it as a fun hobby first.
Yes.
And then, we talk about the financial side of it.
Yeah. When I got back in, I feel like I had already collected as a kid. So my instincts were nostalgia and collecting what I liked. Not to be cliche, but
that's true.
Like, had I caught up in the hype and bought at that point, it would have been Luka and Zion, like silvers. I would have not been like happy here 2 years later. But like one of my first purchases when I got back was literally like, I was like, "Ooh, Allen Iverson, star date," just like die cut inserts of the players I watched and loved in the 90s. Like that is just instantly what I, was gravitated towards.
Hold on, I'm pulling up another die cut insert from the 90s. Boom. This is from EX. I think this is 1 card per pack.
Those are great.
Patrick Ewing, Defying Gravity. I got this not that long ago, actually. 2 years ago, there was a guy set up right by Union Square. There's a Taco Bell there, right in front of the Taco Bell, selling comics and random cards. I picked this up from $5 on my way to physical therapy.
That is sick.
Only in New York. I like the collecting scene here a lot.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't go to other states much, but I'm a big fan of what this city has to offer for a collector, between the other collectors, the shows, the shops, just the general community. 2 shops I could praise a ton is, you ever been to Hot Corner in Brooklyn?
No.
It's kind of out there. It's by like Kings Highway, but and they've been around for over 25 years. And a couple years ago, the original owner sold the shop to some like young kids, so now they run it. And Bleecker Trading, obviously, you're familiar with. I think both of those places, every time I'm in there, they're just like good hospitality. They show you a good time. Yeah. They're very fair. They allow me to trade and stuff. And I'm not going to name other names, but there are definitely some shops that I would not advise new collectors to go to, because you want to go and just have a positive experience.
Right.
Those are 2 that every time I'm in there, they're always good to me. And, there's a lot of good collectors that there's not many shows in New York, but like we'll go out to Jersey together. And yeah, I definitely can't complain about the scene around here.
Yeah. You said you were at a show over the weekend, right?
Yeah, in Bordentown, New Jersey. I had a ride, buddy drove me. I picked up a few like game use stuff. I picked up 5 cards total, and by coincidence, 3 of them were from the year 2001. They were all game use, like a Ken Griffey Jr. jersey auto, a Jerry Rice patch, and a Peyton Manning dual jersey. Something about 2001, like the early game use stuff that we were talking about earlier, I seem to still be attracted to.
Yeah.
Here's a classic. Jim Brown, jersey autograph. Pulled this myself in 2008. I remember I was sitting on the chair next to the piano in my house growing up. I remember exactly where I was. 2008 Leaf Limited. My dad was opening it with me, so like, he's not going to be into the rookies and stuff.
Right.
So for him to see this get pulled, like that was a cool moment in memory that I could recall.
That's awesome.
So kept it all these years. I'll take an 8.5. Again, a car that I'll never sell.
Yeah.
Maybe I get a few $100 for it. So someone made a good point once about kind of like your collection and the value that you really, the way I see it is I hope that I'm never in a position in life where I have to sell these.
Yes.
But know that I have the right stuff where if I have to, I could.
Mm-hmm.
That's the financial side I think about it when I think of these as an investment.
Right. Yeah, like I have this box, which is all the stuff that I would never sell, nor even if I got to a point where it's like I have to, would it be worth much? But then I'm starting to accumulate the more of like I got this over the weekend, Allen Iverson 02 Topps Chrome Black Refractor 99. And it's like, this has some value. It's not the most expensive card I have, but it's also like, I'm fine taking this to the grave. Like, I'm good having it forever. But if I got to a point where I'd have to sell, it's like, all right, at least this is something I think would hold value just because of the scarcity. There's 3 of them that are graded.
Well, look, like the lower end stuff. I picked this up a couple weekends ago.
Oh yeah, I've got
Drake and Bieber.
I got one of those somewhere.
Bieber is honestly one of, like, I know you're a music guy. We didn't really get into music at all, but we can kind of correlate the two. That Bieber is one of my favorite artists ever, and he's got some of his autographs from like the early Panini years. Those sell pretty well.
I bet the parallels for that card are crazy.
Yeah.
Even that card itself in a 10 right now is like a few $100.
So I think it would be cool if they made, you've had to have thought about this at some point, but music cards.
Oh yeah.
Whoever your favorite artist is.
They need to like
concert
I've thought it'd be super hard with licensing between labels and deals. Like that's why I feel like it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I don't know any of that like logistics type stuff. I'm just the concept. The concept makes
sense. But to me, like there also must be a way around it, just the way that like Leaf can get away with showing Peyton Manning, but just because he's not in New Jersey, the Colts are fine with it or whatever, or the NFL's fine with it. How can they not figure that out with music? But then you would also have to, someone just needs to reestablish releasing a set that includes rookies, like just declaring what makes a rookie. Like, I think there'd be a lot of debate there too. It's like if
XSL freshman. Yeah.
It's like, all right, if that's the benchmark, we stick with XXL as the, but yeah, I just think because some people would say, oh, it's like Jack Harlow's a rookie, but then some people would be like, no, his real rookie was 2017. But I guess that'd be the fun of it too, is finding, like in soccer, you find an old sticker that gets graded and then that becomes what some people call a rookie. But no, I think music, pop culture has a lot of room to grow in the hobby. I think it will too with fanatics. Like Jackass was whatever. Like I think if they do that with other things though, where it's like, all right, here's, the based on some TV show. And I guess they're kind of doing it. There are people that are doing it, but.
Oh, the Jackass, it was kind of it was a Fanatics release.
Yeah, it was the Zero Cool. Like, and the first one was the Gary V one.
Yeah, what if like the same way there's sneaker drops?
Right. Or just like Universal Music Group, which has Republic, which has Drake and Taylor Swift, and like Universal has most of the artists. I feel like if they release like, here's our music set, they could pull that off. And you got to have the parallels. You got to have game used, and you got to have, this shirt Kendrick Lamar wore when he performed at this concert, not the fake memorabilia. It's got to be like from a specific date. But
listen, there's going to be, I know there are people out there that don't mind this swatch never came from any event, but as someone like you and I who've been doing this for a while, we love the game used stuff growing up, where you pulled it from a pack and it was never a question, it was game used. If there's this like really nice patch, like a Mac Jones patch auto, and that patch is from nothing, it's not registering with me as to why that's desirable. I don't get it. Like, what are you paying for?
it greatly affects my value consideration on a card if it's just not from anything. Because to me, then it's not even a jersey they cut up. They probably had just one long strip of 3 layers sewn together to look like 3 patches, and just like, you know, who's to say it was even a jersey that they created and cut up versus just like making cool looking swatches to.
Well, if you want to just use the argument, it looks cool, fine. Sure, it looks cool. Not for me. That's why, I've really stayed away from modern, which kind of, I've had this long-term thought about the hobby that there's definitely this like Panini era.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of collectors now who love pre-Panini,
Right.
and maybe dabbles with a little bit of Panini. As time goes on and there's no more, the gap like widens between the years of the cards people care about,
Mm-hmm.
and as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to even process what it's going to be like in 4, 5, 10 years. But I'll continue to go back to. I've been collecting my whole life, 20 plus years. I'm sure I'll be doing it for 20 plus more. So whatever it is, we'll adapt. We're along for the ride.
Yep. And like, I know I got the 90s NBA and I know I've got the Chicago Bears. There's always like a new thing to uncover in and the music stuff. I'd say those are my big 3 pockets of where I get the most enjoyment out of finding out about a new card, and then setting some eBay watches and checking the auction sites and having a new chase.
Enjoyment is an important word, because I've definitely gone through phases over the last year where I'm like overwhelmed and not feeling it. But you got to be having fun. Since I started collecting soccer, especially the U.S. men's national team, collecting has been so much more fun for a few reasons. One, I just enjoy watching them play. It's the national team, so I know they're always going to be on the team that I root for. There's no trades. There's no national team trades.
Yep.
So 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when I have kids and they're watching soccer, I know for a fact they're going to be watching these players.
Yep.
There's also way less quantity of it relative to other sports. Like I don't know why I keep hating on Mac Jones. It's just because the modern stuff doesn't do it for me. There's like so many different RPAs, sticker autographs, jerseys. It's like I can't wrap my head around it all. With these players I'm collecting, there's a lot less of it, so it makes the chase a lot more fun. You kind of learn more about what sets they're in.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to hate anyone's way of collecting, but that's how me personally I found a lot of fun in doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that stuff lends itself to being more affordable, and like there are active chases I could participate in. If I got caught up in the modern, like I love the Bears, I want some cool Justin Fields cards, but I also know like financially it doesn't make sense to buy those right now, just even because of like, in the same as Mac Jones, the prices are insane for someone who hasn't done anything. And like in 3 years he could be traded from the Bears, and in 10 years it would be like, yeah, I kind of remember him, but I don't have like great memories of that player. Whereas I could go back and know, like, I love Devin Hester, so I'm going to try and find every Bears Hester refractor that's numbered or a cool game used auto, and that is a chase that will keep on giving. There will always be a new card that's listed. There'll always be something there, versus trying to keep up with collecting like the team in real time. In 10 years, if Justin Fields is a stud, like I'll have picked up some stuff, but it's like, there is like that pressure, like I don't want to miss the boat, or you don't want to, like, that's what I think like modern is kind of preying on, is the hype culture and the FOMO. And I feel like you just got to remove yourself kind of from that, figure out what you like and attack that.
A lot of money going into guys who in 5, 10 years, no one's going to be talking about. Just go back to every draft class of the major sports year by year and figure out how many people from that class do collectors, a wide range of collectors still really care for.
Mm-hmm. And just, I've seen it happen within like one calendar year, where the hype behind like Ja Morant, for a second, it was like, if you don't have Ja Morant cards, what are you doing? Ja Morant cards everywhere. And then the public favor kind of feels like it turned on him, and then gets hurt. They lose in the playoffs. And yeah, is he going to be that guy again next year? I don't know. It just seems like it's people's attention spans are so short with these prospects.
I own one Ja Morant card, and the only reason I own it is because I pulled it myself.
And that's sick. Like, and yeah, not saying not to have, I've had some, but
I pulled this from a comic store on 5th Avenue, Monacy Comics. That's a good spot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulled it out of a $60 pack, one autograph per pack. In front of this was a Ja snakeskin rookie. 2 Ja's, 1 pack. Got super lucky, graded it, and even it's a college uniform. It's mine. I pulled it. I'm the only one that touched it, so for that reason, it's staying. It's not a card I'm gonna flip.
Absolutely. The stuff that you pull is, and then this stuff. I just like love going through and then finding out about the old sets. Like
Top's pristine.
Yeah, these are just all like gold
Popper in those.
Bears refractors that like, I mean, this whole stack is gold.
Sick. And you could probably get that pretty affordable.
And they're pretty cheap because guess what? There's no great like offensive Bears players that have stood out in the last 20 years.
Gold goes nice. Years. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but gold goes nice with the Bears colors.
Yeah, it looks good. And then just other numbered refract. I don't know. I feel like I was hesitant to like love Topps Chrome refractors because it was such like everyone was loving it, but I do love Topps Chrome refractors, and I'm just starting to appreciate
now, right?
Yeah, like these are just clean cards. Like they know what they were doing. I love like other fun stuff too, but I just love the look of. I mean, Topps Chrome. Even this like Shea McClellan, rookie gold, wasn't a great Bear, but he broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone and made the Packers miss the playoffs one year. So kind of a legend.
Good story. See, I think one of the most underrated things about the hobby is color matches. As in when it sells for a premium, I think it should. Like, without question. Look at this Pat Ewing card. You just talked about Topps Chrome refractors.
It just looks good.
$100 card, never gonna sell it. Knicks colors, and it's an orange refractor. Like, this is so nice.
Yeah. The eye appeal. When you see it, you know it. It's like, yep, this absolutely works. And like, I picked one of these up.
Let me put you on the spot about. Let me see that. Nice. Yeah, color match. Just looks good.
Out of 99, just a nice little Brady, red on red.
So you know how someone's applying for schools? There's like colleges, there's like safety schools and reach schools.
Yes.
Give me a safety card and a reach card that you're looking for.
Ooh. I think safety card right now for me.
Like, it's pretty attainable, but you just got to find it. And if you do, you can get it.
Like one specific card or a player?
Something.
I mean, now that I'm on this Topps Chrome refractor kick, I want an AI 96, a Kobe, and I want a LeBron 03 Topps Chrome refractors. Those are also reach. Like, I understand the value behind them, but like, again, even buying this Iverson recently, it's more of, I think Allen Iverson's safe. And if not, I'm okay taking that L. Like, if I go down and with a bunch of sick AI cards, I'm cool with that. Like,
yeah.
And then just like the 90s players in general, that's what I'm shifting my focus to. Not that I was ever not into it. It's more of, I know I have some cards that are purely the more of the investment side of it to hopefully make money to then fund my 90s NBA and Bears and music. The ones that I like.
Were you born?
89.
Okay. So you like grew up in the 90s basketball era.
Oh yeah.
See, MJ was a little before my time. I was born 92.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was living in Chicago through 97.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm just putting this together now. Born in Chicago, huge Bulls fan.
So watching MJ dominate was sick. But then I moved to Indiana in like 97. And the Bulls kind of, they finished and then they were terrible. And the Pacers were awesome. But I didn't want to just jump and be a Pacers fan. But the Bulls sucked. So I was kind of in limbo. And then LeBron came into the league and I was like, I like this guy. I want to root for him. And just became a diehard LeBron fan.
This is carrying my collection.
It's beautiful.
It was such a hustle to get this. Let me end on this story because it's a good one. So it's an MJ PSA 8. A couple years back, my parents were going to sell their house, so we had a garage sale and I advertised it as sports cards. This is like November 2020, so like pretty new. People are talking about it, and it was cool. Regular garage sale out on Long Island, sold a bunch of stuff, but I still had the listing up. And a week later, someone's like, "Oh, is the garage sale still happening?" I said, "No, it already passed." And they're like, "Oh, okay, because I'm trying to get rid of this card." And it was the Michael Jordan rookie. It was in a Beckett, the raw review.
Mm-hmm.
Raw review 7.5, valuing at, I think he valued, I forgot what he valued it at, but he wanted to get rid of it to get a little cash. So I remember I gave him $1,000 cash. I gave him a Charizard PSA 9 that I had just gotten back from PSA that was mine from childhood. I also had a Steph Curry Prestige Light Blue at a $9.99 that I had from childhood. So these are cards that I'm into for nothing except the grading fee plus $1,000. So let's call it with the grading, I don't know, a couple $100 plus the plus $1,000 cash. So maybe $1,500. I'm into this MJ Raw 4 and a Beckett Raw Review 7.5. I took it out of the Raw Review case, put it in a fresh card saver to PSA, and I crossed over a 7.5 Raw to a PSA 8. And I'm into that card for $1,500.
That's unreal.
And the way I acquired it was this person lived like 7 or 8 stops off the Metro North. So one early Saturday morning, I went to Grand Central, hopped on the Metro North, met some random guy at a stop at a place that I'd never been to, hopped right back in time for soccer practice, got the MJ in my collection.
That is unreal.
Yeah. It was,
that's what you got to do it for. And like,
yeah,
anyone who's like, "Oh, I still have my cards locked away," or like my dad's collection, it's like, you should look in there. You should, not even just for like value, but you might have some more fun flipping through a box of cards than you imagine.
I do find myself with people who aren't into cards. I'm out at an event, party, whatever it is. Cards comes up a little bit more. Maybe I work it into the conversation, but it's like it sparks people's interest and it gets them thinking. And
well, especially now, like it's a hybrid of, it can be day trading, investing, gambling,
everything,
sports,
everything we like. It's everything we like.
All these things where it's like, oh, if I like a player or team, I'm not going to just put a future bet on them. I'll buy a cool card of that player because I want to watch them grow. And I think that they have a chance to do well. And then I could maybe benefit financially from it. Well, Craig, I appreciate this, jumping on, talking cards. Any, where can the people find you? New York City Sports Cards?
Yeah, I get this so often when people ask for my account and I give them the name. They're like, "Oh, NYC." I'm like, no. It's New York City spelled out. If it was NYC, I would have said NYC.
Yeah.
So all spelled out, New York City Sports Cards. I'll be set up at Laz's show in New Jersey on July 16th. Sick. And I'm going to the National. You going?
Going to the National, yeah.
When?
Get there Friday morning.
Yeah,
so they're all day Friday, all day Saturday, leaving Sunday.
I'll miss you. I'm going just Thursday there and back. Got a wedding that weekend.
Oh, yeah. It was like me and my fiance have never been to Atlantic City, so got at a nice little casino resort where she can be at the pool all day and I can be at the National.
Mazel tov on the engagement, whenever that was.
Oh yeah, weddings in September.
Nice
engagement, yeah.
Exciting, good for you.
Yeah, yeah, man, and congrats to you too.
Thank you.
And yeah, I saw that there's
the hobby. She's a supporter.
Yeah. Oh, like she's not collecting, but gets it and asks questions and gets it, shows excitement when I come upstairs with 3 bubble mailers and can explain like the significance behind these 3 $2 cards that mean nothing.
Sometimes I'll be like, this is going to pay for a family vacation one day.
Yeah. Yeah. The big money stuff I feel like draws more concern and attention than a Cedric Benson gold refractor.
Yeah, bro. Have a good time at National. I've never been to one, but
me neither.
Enjoy.
And that Monday before the National, Bleecker.
We're in. Bleecker trade night.
We're in it. Hell yeah. Drinking Modelo's, making deals and Delos.
I am in.
All right, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you later.